occupying this potential space, and this is the pericranium or periosteum. Okay, pericranium or periosteum, and this is the bone, of course. This is temporal fascia, and this is temporalis muscle. These are fibers from the frontalis muscle. This is orbicularis oculi. This is zygomaticus major. This is the depressor anguli oris. Depressor anguli oris. This is depressor labii inferioris. Mentalis isn't really very obvious here. This is orbicularis oris. This is masseter muscle. These are parts from the parotid gland, and this is parotid duct. This is platysma muscle, and this is sternocleidomastoid. This is the submandibular salivary gland. This is investing layer of deep cervical fascia, and this could be the prevertebral layer of deep cervical fascia. Here we may have pretracheal layer of deep cervical fascia, I guess. This is the carotid sinus, which is the common carotid artery, of course, and this is site of its bifurcation. This is the internal jugular vein. This is superior and middle thyroid veins. Now this is facial vein here. This is facial vein. This is segmental vein. This is anterior division of the retromandibula. This is still the facial vein, and this will become the common facial vein. Okay, here we have the external jugular vein. See, external jugular vein, and this is anterior jugular vein. Now about branches of the cervical plexus. This is transverse cervical nerve, all of that, transverse cervical, and here this is the supraclavicular nerves. Okay, supraclavicular nerves. This is spinal part of accessory nerve. This is the levoroscapulae muscle. This is the facial artery, anterior to the facial vein, and here again this is the facial artery, and here from the facial artery you've got the inferior labial artery, okay. This is sternocleidomastoid, sternothyroid, amohyoid. It's superior belly, and here it's inferior belly. Again, this could be the anterior jugular vein, maybe. This is thyrohyoid. Some branches from the facial nerve. This is its buccal branch, and this is its marginal mandibular branch. Here we have anterior belly of digastric. This is anterior belly of digastric, and this is its posterior belly. This is the facial sling. This is maybe the mylohyoid muscle. This is the thyroid cartilage, and maybe this is the thyroid gland. This is the internal jugular vein, and this is the common carotid artery. They will form a sheath, which is called the carotid sheath. In between them, we have got the vagus nerve. Let's see. Yeah, that's it. This is it. This is the vagus nerve. Okay, which is a very long nerve, and this is the hypoglossal nerve. Hypoglossal. This is the parotid gland. It's only a small part of it. It's usually larger than that, but it's been removed. In the substance of the parotid gland, we've got some important stuff. For example, we've got the formation of the retromandibular vein. This is the retromandibular vein. It is formed by the superficial temporal and maxillary veins. The formation isn't really very clear, but this is the retromandibular vein itself. It has got, after it comes out from the parotid gland, it gives off two branches or two divisions, anterior and posterior division. This is its anterior division. So this is anterior division of the retromandibular vein. With the facial vein, it will form the common facial vein. Okay, so here again, this is the common facial vein. The common facial vein will then drain back into the internal jugular vein. Another thing that we have in the substance of the parotid gland is bifurcation of the external carotid artery into maxillary and superficial temporal arteries. This is the superficial temporal artery here. It goes like that. The maxillary artery seriously isn't very obvious here. Okay, and here is the external carotid artery. This is side of bifurcation of the common carotid into external carotid and internal carotid arteries. The side of bifurcation here is a little above the upper border of the thyroid cartilage. Okay, and this branch is the superior thyroid artery. It should normally branch off from the external carotid artery, but here it has branched off from the common carotid. Okay. Inside the substance of the parotid gland, we've got the facial nerve. This is the facial nerve coming out from the stylomastoid foramen. It will have two major trunks, the temporofacial and cervicofacial trunks. From these two trunks, we'll have 5 branches. This is the temporal branch here, temporal branch. Okay, going like that, and this is the zygomatic branch here, zygomatic branch here again, zygomatic branch related to the zygomatic arch, and then we'll have the buccal branch. It's very small here. This is the buccal branch. Okay, and the buccal branch, you can also see it in here. Okay, here it is. This is again the buccal branch. And by the way, this is the parotid duct. Okay, so this is the parotid gland, and this is the duct, parotid duct. So the buccal branch is below the parotid duct. Okay, and this is the marginal mandibular branch. Marginal mandibular branch, and the cervical branches aren't really obvious here. This is the facial artery, and behind that we've got the facial vein. Okay, so this is the facial vein going like that, as we said. This is the submandibular salivary gland. The facial vein passes superficial to the gland. So this is the facial vein here. Okay, but the facial artery goes deep to the submandibular gland. Inside the carotid sheath, we've got the internal jugular vein, the common carotid artery, the vagus nerve here. This is the vagus nerve, and a branch from the vagus nerve is cardiac nerve. Okay, this is it, going to the heart. This is spinal part of the accessory nerve, supplying the sternocleidomastoid and also trapezius muscles. This is the external jugular vein here. Okay. External jugular vein. It's formed by union of the posterior division. This is anterior division, posterior division of the retromandibular vein, and also posterior auricular veins to form the external jugular vein. This is great auricular nerve. This is transverse cervical nerve. Here we have the hypoglossal nerve. Okay, this is the hypoglossal nerve. This is the branch of the C1 that supplies the thyroid muscle here. Okay. So this is branch of the C1 to the thyroid, and this is hypoglossal itself. And here, this is a descending branch of the C1 that forms a superior root of the ansa cervicalis. This is the submandibular salivary gland. This was the facial vein that passes superficial to that, and due to that we've got the facial artery. So here is the facial artery. In this cadaver there's a variation because both the facial artery and the lingual artery come from the same trunk. So this is the lingual artery here. This is the lingual artery. This is it. Okay. This is the lingual artery. See, the lingual artery and the facial come from the same common trunk. Here is the trunk. Okay. The trunk comes from the external carotid artery. This is the occipital artery. Occipital artery, a branch from the external carotid artery. This is the external carotid artery. This is the common trunk for the facial artery and the lingual artery. Here. As we said, this is the occipital artery. This is continuation of the external carotid artery itself until here, and then we've got the posterior auricular artery here. See, this is the posterior auricular artery, this branch, the posterior auricular artery. On this side here is the common carotid artery. Common carotid artery. Again here, common carotid artery. This is the subclavian artery. Subclavian artery. From the first part, we've got the thyrocervical trunk. This is the thyrocervical trunk. Okay, here, thyrocervical trunk. This is the inferior thyroid artery. Inferior thyroid artery. Okay. And this could be suprascapular or transverse cervical artery. Okay. This is the thyroid gland here, thyroid gland. This is the superior thyroid vein and middle thyroid vein. Okay. Here, this is the vagus nerve. Vagus. This is the recurrent laryngeal nerve. Okay, recurrent laryngeal nerve. This is the common carotid, dividing into internal carotid and external carotid arteries. From the external carotid, here we have the superior thyroid. It's been called superior thyroid artery. Here we have the lingual artery, lingual. Here we have the facial artery. Okay, facial. Yeah, and this is the continuation. Facial artery. This is lingual. Okay. Okay, this could be the lingual nerve. Okay, a sensory branch from the mandibular division of the trigeminal lingual nerve, and this could be chorda tympani. Okay, the chorda tympani, a branch from the facial nerve, joining the lingual nerve. Okay, again, this could be continuation of the lingual nerve. Now, this is the occipital artery here. Okay, so this is facial. This is occipital artery. Okay, occipital artery. This is just continuation of the external carotid. It will give off two terminal branches. This one that goes inside is the maxillary artery. Okay, this is it. Goes inside maxillary artery, and this is a branch from the maxillary, which is the middle meningeal artery. Okay, and this is the superficial temporal artery. Okay, superficial temporal, giving here superficial temporal. This was the facial artery. This is the occipital artery, occipital, and this is posterior auricular artery. Okay, so today we'll talk about structures of the nose on the cadaver that we can see. This is the skin, and this is the nostril. So if we remove the skin, we'll see the cartilages. We've got different kinds of them. This is the alar cartilage. It's also called the lower lateral cartilage, and this is again the alar cartilage. It's been cut. Okay. This is the anterior nasal spine formed by the maxilla. Okay, and this is the upper lateral cartilage. Upper lateral cartilage to the right side, and again to the left side. Upper lateral cartilage. Again, this is the skin, and here again. This is the alar cartilage or the lower lateral cartilage. See, this is the other part of it. It's not been cut here, but on this side it's been cut. See, that's it. So this is the alar cartilage, and this is the mucoperichondrium. This is the nasal cavity. Okay, so the nostril opens into here. And this is the septal cartilage. This is the external nasal nerve, a branch from the anterior ethmoidal nerve, which is the continuation of the nasociliary nerve, which is itself a branch from the ophthalmic division of the trigeminal nerve.